Welcome to Change and Triumph. Today we are here with Jasmine Zapata, Dr. Jasmine Zapata, who I met at the Family Office Club in Fort Lauderdale at last year's major family office summit. I'm so excited to have you with us, and it is just such a pleasure. Welcome.
Thank you. It is such an honor to be here. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Yes. I asked you to be on the podcast because in our very brief conversation, we were actually it was the end of the event, and there was like 3 or 4 of us women at the table, and there's not usually a lot of women at these events with the Family Office Club. So, it was really awesome to just get to know other women and especially other Black females that are out there getting it done.
Yes. Yeah, it was so refreshing to be in that space.
Yes, to be in that space. And then I hear you went to the Beverly Hills event. I could not make it to the Beverly Hills event, but the Family Office Club, I've been a member for 3 years. And it's so funny, Jasmine, because I just put out a video to people that's like a little mini drama. And it talks about on all my social media channels how conferences, you've got the guru conferences, and then you have conferences where people are investors and they're actually doing things in the room. And they're doing things and we're listening to different strategies. We're hearing what works, what does not work, how we want to manage our investment portfolio. And, that's what I love about Family Office Club is there's quality people in the room and no one's trying to sell you some huge, mentorship package or some package for whatever reason, that and I can't say anything against coaching. I mean, coaching is great, but when you've got some money to invest, you don't want to go put that $50,000 or $100,000 into a coaching program when you could have deployed it into the right types of investments. Wouldn't you agree?
Totally agree. I was blown away when I was there and presented with the different deals and opportunities. I came back to my husband like, we need to invest in this hotel venture, this agriculture venture. There's this opportunity, that opportunity. It was really amazing. And Mr. Wilson, who is the founder of Family Office Club, he does an amazing job of just giving quality education, having network experiences. It was great. It was great.
It really was great. So, I mean, I want to start your story where it began. And when you were 5 years old, you knew you wanted to be a doctor. However, during your residency in a pediatric ICU, you had a transformative encounter with a young girl who had survived a suicide attempt that changed your entire trajectory. Can you talk to us a little bit about that journey? I want to know, how do 5 years old, you wanted to be a doctor, and then everything changes?
Yeah, ever since I was 5 years old, I wanted to be a medical doctor, and I actually have proof of that. My parents gave me a little notebook. It was a little workbook where every year, kindergarten through 5th grade, you had to put your favorite teacher, your school picture, your favorite subjects in school, and at the very bottom, you had to list, what do you want to be when you grow up? And ever since kindergarten, I always checked the doctor box. I don't know what I was thinking back then, if I even understood fully the concept of what a doctor was, but I've said that ever since I was little. So I knew that was in my heart that I wanted to help other people. And over the years, it has been an ongoing exploration in the best way to do that, help other people. So I was so thankful when I got into medical school and then decided to go in the field of pediatrics. And as you mentioned, when I was in my pediatric intensive care unit training, there was we saw multiple people, young people coming in after suicide attempts, but it was one young girl in particular tried to hang herself, and her family got her down seconds before she died, sent her over to our intensive care unit. And while we were there and I was working on the medical team to save her life, putting in orders, being a member of the team, I heard a voice inside of me say, Jasmine, even though you are doing amazing things as a medical doctor, you are called to more. You need to get outside of these hospital walls and reach these young people before they even get here. You need to go to community centers, churches, schools, beauty salons, letting across the country, across the globe, letting these young people know you can make it. You are beautiful. You are worthy. Even though it's hard right now, keep pushing. Your life matters. And that is how I started and launched my own career as an author and then my own book publishing company, helping other business professionals, leaders in our community write and self publish books that empower the next generation. And so that's a little bit of how I got started with that. And then even some of my other business portfolio ventures.
So you serve as the top ranking physician for public health in Wisconsin while managing multiple businesses now. You've got 4 children and a
Yes.
20-year marriage. How in the world do you handle all of that?
Yeah. It's really important to stay connected to your why. I do have a lot of amazing things that I'm doing, and it's all rooted in a single why. I want to be able to create healing. I want to uplift people and inspire people across the country. And that starts with my own family. I want to be able to have time freedom for my family, but also be able to give that gift to others where people can have healthy households, safe environments. They can thrive, not just survive. And so I focus on all of my business enterprises and even the work that I do as a physician. It's all rooted in that having people be able to live a healthy lifestyle so that they can truly experience joy in life. So whether that's working in the actual hospital shifts, fighting for public health initiatives, or my real estate ventures and providing housing and fighting for equity in the business space, helping other people build their brands and businesses so they can generate an income. It all centers around that original mission, helping people to not only survive, but to thrive.
You know, you said a lot, and we are not even 5 minutes into this podcast. I am wondering how it is that you are able to still be what was the switch? There was a switch. I know the young lady changed your heart, and you didn't quite quit being a doctor, but you did decide that you've gotta do something. Could you just elaborate a little bit more about that little process? Exactly what happened?
Yes, yes, yes. There was a statistic that I saw, and it basically showed that only 20% of an individual's health outcomes, meaning length of life and quality of life, only 20% is based on what we do in the hospital and clinics. And that blew my mind. The other 80% is based on personal decision making, your social and economic status and your environment. So I was like, I went to school all these years to be a medical doctor, which is great, but I'm only impacting 20% of someone's length of life and quality of life by the interventions we do in the hospital. If I want to make a true impact, I need to not only be a medical doctor, but I need to impact that other 80%. And that's how I became a landlord, got into real estate. That's how I started doing my own speaking and touring nationally and writing books and coaching and consulting because I wanted to get outside of that 20% in the clinic walls and impact that other 80%. Economic power is really important, not only for myself being able to have economic power to influence my community, but empower other people to increase their wealth as well. That's going to have a huge impact on your length of life and quality of life more than anything we can ever do in the hospital. So that was a little bit of the shift for me. So I still work as a medical doctor. I do shifts in the hospital on a part time basis. I work my public health job, and then I and do my other ventures as well. But it's all tied into helping people live long and quality lives.
You know, as a woman, I understand where you're coming from with that nurture, that nurturing, that want to nurture, that want to mother and mother as many people as you can. It is a natural phenomenon that we have as women to want to just help. And I find that doctors and nurses, the only way you could truly be a doctor or nurse is because you have that spirit of a nurturer and the spirit of someone who cares immensely about humanity. And so, even though you have all of these additional businesses, these different lanes, I can hear that each one of these lanes were specific to that same mission that God gave you in your life. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Awesome, awesome. So, I mean, you mentioned the concept of work-life harmony, right? And
Yes.
rather than balance, what is the secret system you use to prevent burnout while overseeing the health of an entire state and a household of 6 people?
Yes. 6 people and 2 guinea pigs. 2 pet guinea pigs, because they take a lot of time too. In all seriousness, I really truly believe in radical self-care. So if you think of a bucket, it's I have to make sure my bucket is full, that all holes are closed up, and I am full and complete. And I have to make sure to pour into myself so much that from my overflow, there will be joy and excitement and me being able to go out and speak and start other businesses, empower people. But it needs to come from my overflow, not a bucket pouring into me. And then I have a couple holes that I then spout out to others, almost like a water spout when you're watering plants. I don't want that. I don't want water coming to me and then I have to pour out. I want to be full and complete. My cup is running over, and that joy and that overflowing of wealth and that overflowing of time freedom can pour out into others. So that's how I look at it. So I unapologetically make sure when the night is over, if I didn't get something done, I'm going to bed. I need my sleep. I need my massages. I love to do water, like get out on the water, on boats when I can. I love to play Monopoly. I love to go out to eat. I love me some king crab legs. Okay. I'm going to go unapologetically and say, I need to eat these king crab legs so that my bucket can overflow with joy and happiness so I can go out to do this hospital shift. So I can go out and do this speaking engagement. Having like taking care of yourself unapologetically and looking at that as something critical and vital to everything else is so important. Even therapy, having a meeting regularly with my therapist, just like you go to a doctor's annual doctor's appointment to check on your body, in that same way, you need to have preventive maintenance on your mind and your mental health, even if there's not a problem or a situation to fix. Just like you get oil changes in a car, you need to go check in regularly with your therapist. So I'll stop there, but that has been one of the biggest things. Oh, one more thing with work life harmony. Some people say don't involve your family in your businesses, but one of my work life harmony hacks has actually been a lot of the businesses that we've built. I have incorporated my family, and that allows us to grow together, experience ups and downs together, innovate together, travel together. So my husband runs all of the trucking company. My husband and mom do a lot of the trucking company operations, our real estate ventures with book publishing. My mother is amazing in that company. My children are authors. So when we go on national tours, my children are doing things and having their own books and they come with me to my events. My daughter is my photographer. So when I go speak at professional events, have award ceremonies, she comes with me with her professional camera and we work together on that. We're arguing about the rates that she charges me. We're still negotiating her rates and she sends me invoices and things, but I love it. My son was at the family office event in Fort Lauderdale. He came with me
Wonderful.
to that. Yeah, so that is one of the other ways I can say radical self-care. And for me, incorporating the family in the different business ventures has actually helped me.
I was going to ask you, and I did ask you at the top of the hour, how can you handle all of that? And you just explained it. You've got a whole team behind you. And
Yes.
your team is not only outside, but inside, and you guys are working together for one single goal of that financial freedom. Now, how did you get your family? How did you get everybody on board because that conversation you had with your daughter is the conversation I've had with my kids on a
Right.
regular basis. Okay. Because I also include my children in everything. My son, Michael, is actually I just made him my new administrative assistant. I replaced one my last administrative assistant took another position after I laid so we had layoffs at the end of the year, like November and December. It's so slow. And then she was supposed to come back in January and then she was so distracted. I went ahead and my son is actually in Japan right now. And so
Nice.
he was supposed to be getting a visa and he has the most awesome job and he's an influencer in skateboarding. So he's there working with a skate park skateboarding. However, he didn't get approved for his visa. So he was trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do next? And of course, I said, well, I got this. As a matter of fact, he told my other son, I don't know why mom is looking for someone else when I'm right here. I said, "Okay, you want the job? Okay, fine." So we have, but this is like, I looked at his so funny because I looked at his resume on LinkedIn that I told him to update, and I go, "Okay, I'm not the last company, but before that, the real estate company, he was the administrator, or actually my partner in several houses that we bought in Florida. And then when he moved to
Yes.
he kind of moved out of that role. But so now he's back again in an administrative role. And really, he's probably going to end up taking over operations. And so,
Yes.
yeah, so that it's just so normal. But what happens then, my oldest son, I've been trying to reel him back in because when we did fix and flips, he just, didn't like the way I did things, and he and I would have disagreements on cash flow. So, and it's always like, "Oh, well, if you work for mom, then is she gonna pay you right?" I have had that conversation with family for decades. My mom used to work with me. I remember my mom left her job at NYU and I asked her to be my secretary when we had the construction company. She goes, "Oh, well, at NYU I make such and such and you need to pay me such and such." And then the last one, and then I got beat up by my older sister because she says I wasn't paying my dad enough and he worked at the construction company as well. So, yeah, so this working with family thing is not easy because it's not easy, and I think I lost my husband over it not being easy, and it's not easy in general working with family. So how in the world did you make it happen? Did you and your husband meet and say this is our journey, and you brought the kids up that way, or did it come later?
That is a great question. So I am so, so blessed because I got to meet my husband. We started dating when I was only 16. We were really young. We were actually high school sweethearts. So we have pictures going to junior and senior prom together. We were high school sweethearts and got married when I was 19. Okay. We were really young, right out of basically, right out of high school. We got married because we were high school sweethearts. And so ever since we were young, we knew we had a vision that we wanted to invest in real estate together, that we wanted to be able to be present in our children's lives. And so we had that vision ever since we were young. So we knew we were going to be doing something with businesses and in owning our own business. And we wanted to pass those lessons along to our children. So, yes, there are ups and downs, but that's actually wonderful to let the kids see that. I'll talk to the kids, like my son, he's 17, and he's like criticizes some of our business decisions. Like, I don't even know why you guys started that trucking company. I would have used that investment from when you liquidated that last house to invest in some more real estate because this, and that. He'll tell us, like, why are you guys doing that? You should do this and that. And we're transparent in when we're struggling with things like, okay, the truck company went through this barrier. We need a lot of repairs. So here's the pivot we're going to do. What would you guys do? Should we sell this house and liquidate some of this capital, or should we hold on to it because the property value is going up? And we actually let the kids help us make decisions. We share the wins with them and the hard times with them. And I love it because they're we're building something where they're going to be able to carry those lessons on in future generations rather than if you're just all working with complete strangers. So it is a beautiful thing and you have to be careful with it. I don't work with every single family member of mine, but I am blessed to get to work with my mom. And I saw my parents growing up own different businesses and real estate. So I got to watch that at a young age. We would hold events and be selling things and doing mailers, stuffing mailers, sending stuff out. They were hustler entrepreneurs, and I love that. And I saw that from a young age. And that was a gift my mom gave me. So it's a blessing to be able to work with her now in business and then pass that on to my kids as well. So it's not for everybody, but I love it. And then we have other people that are not related, but I it feels like we're all family.
Generational wealth right there. That's what that is. That's generational wealth. People think that generational wealth is just passing on money. I truly believe that's passing on the knowledge. It's passing on
Yes.
exactly what you just described. It's passing
Hmm.
that, hey, we went through this cycle. I mean, your 17-year-old, it's very easy to see 2020. You were not in the middle of
Yeah.
why you were probably just still not thinking about when we started the trucking company. You weren't even conscious yet.
Yeah.
And now you can see 2020. Oh, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And so it's wonderful because what happens is they grow up and so and they see your point of view differently as they're growing. So the last one is 20, my daughter, and I had her when she was like 15. It's so funny. I've had every one of my children and my nieces and nephews work with me at my office at one time or another. At 14, they were working with me as an intern. I think both my niece and nephew worked with me as an intern, and it's so funny because they tell me today, which they're in their 20s now, and working for major Fortune 500 companies, that experience was a big deal when they came to my office when I had the
Yay.
office at Wall Street. So, and so it's just wonderful. And then my 36-year-old, he's 36 now. My 36-year-old had worked for me when I had the mortgage company way back when he was 14. And when he went to the military, he had job experience on his credit report because I had built up his credit as well. So they were like, well, I don't understand how you had a job when you're
Yes.
only 18. So how'd you work with this finance company?
Love that.
So it is that
Hey.
knowledge. And then I was just on TikTok just last night on TikTok and someone was talking about when he bought his first four-family apartment complex. And I realized generational wealth
Mm.
at that moment because I commented and I said, you know what? Because he said his dad showed him how to buy real estate. And he had his first four-family apartment complex in 1998. And I forget how old he
Yes.
said he was, but it was early 20s. And I did the same. My first apartment complex, we had a lot of single family homes before this, but it was in 2009 when I finally switched to buying a fourplex. And I was
Yes.
42 in 2009 when that happened.
Mm.
Then, but my son was 26 when he bought his the firstborn, he was 26 when he bought his three family.
Nice.
Yeah, the other one, my second son was 23 when he bought his first one. And now the 20-year-old, I already got a condo for her. She's already in there. She's about to like it's already prepared. I think that's the definition of real generational wealth.
Yes, it is. I love that. Thank you for breaking down that timing of the things that you were able to achieve by 42. Now your kids are doing it younger and younger. And so that's so inspirational. Thank you for sharing that.
You
Mine
know,
are my oldest is 17, I have a 15-year-old, a 8-year-old, and then a 2.5-year-old. So I
sorry.
am working through those things. Yeah. But I love it because too, I think about the amount of trips my 2-year-old has been on, the amount of like, he had his passport when he was 1, and other members of my family didn't have their passport till they were in their 60s, some older generations. But my baby had his when he was 1, and my baby has been to Atlanta alone like already 12 times on business trips with me. I would just put him with me, take him everywhere because I was, breastfeeding him, but he came with me everywhere. And so it's just really important to expose your children to things early on. Like, he's been on so many airplane flights and so many places at the age of 2.5 where I'm like, man, you've been places that it took me years and years to get to. Now you're just coming everywhere. So I love that. I love that.
It is, and and this is what the norm is. This is what happens when you're self-employed. But you have the
Yes. Yes.
unique ability of being both self-employed and you have the job. So you've got your side gigs, got your full-time or part-time job. Actually, you made your full-time job your part-time job, and your self-employment your full-time. I think your story is phenomenal. So you've seen the somber side of legacy, publishing books. Well, before we start talking about that, you work with ultra high net worth clients who have made all the money they need, but now struggle with how they will be remembered. That's one of your babies. Tell me more about that. But I got a question for you.
Yes. Yes.
You help these busy founders write books in 90 days or less, and using your triple P method, can you walk us through that framework and explain why a book is a better legacy asset than a $16 million oceanfront property? I mean, this is a great follow up.
Love that. Okay, let's unpack that. So I want to take us back to that story that I talked about, that young girl who came into the hospital. And when I said I need to get outside of these walls and reach young people, the vision that I had was to get that message to, it wasn't just 1 or 2 young people, it was thousands of young people. I saw a vision for a global impact. And I said, I'm only one person. How can I individually talk to all those people? That's going to take so much time, energy, and effort. But the epiphany was, if I can share my story, if I can share inspiration and hope, and I could put it into a book, that book can live beyond me, and I can make multiple copies of that book and it can get distributed across the globe. So that is one beautiful thing about a book as a vehicle. Just, there is power in the written word. If you can share your story, you could pour your lessons and values in that book. Number one, it can reach a lot of people. It's your same message. It's like duplicating yourself thousands of times, millions of times, duplicating yourself. That message can reach far, and it can reach far out like horizontally, but also it can go deep, meaning in 100 years from now, when you are and I are not here, that same book can live on. My grandkids and great great grandkids can be holding that book in their hand and reading it. So that's why just the vehicle of a tangible book, not just an ebook online, like a physical hard copy book in your hand that could pass down from generation to generation, is important. So that's just number one of why. The
Mm,
next thing is, especially when you are building wealth, there's lots of statistics about this. By sometimes that third or fourth generation, the wealth can be gone if the younger generation is not stewarding it properly. Okay. Now, it's more than just money.
that's where, Jasmine, though, that's the point that we were making earlier is that we're teaching the
The le-
steward. We're teaching
yes,
them, they're growing with us and they're part of it. Whereas wouldn't you agree that our mindset before, when you thought about generational wealth, like what you're saying now, it was really like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a bunch of money so I can pass it down." And that has historically not worked. for the very reason you're talking about.
Exactly. So it's more than just passing that money down so then they can spend it. What we need to convey is the hard work it took to get there, the principles of integrity that it took. How do you pick good business partners when everything crashes down and you fail? What messages did you tell yourself to get back up, to have perseverance, to keep going? Those are the lessons that we work with founders and business owners, people who have, like I mentioned before, they've had all these career and financial and business accomplishments, but now they are ready to, as they reflect back on their life, share their top 10 pearls of wisdom that they gained, the values that drove them behind the scenes, behind the success and the money. And so then they could pass that to their kids and generations, but also, I say future generations, other people following in their footsteps. And so that's
Mm.
why I do what I do.
That's so awesome. You told me a story about someone that you helped publish one of those very books and how it was
Yes.
so timely for her legacy. Could you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yes. So, and this one is still, it's still fresh for me, so I get a little bit emotional, but there, another reason to get your book done is because we're not here in this life forever. You never know when is your last day, when is your last week, when is your last year on this earth. So is there was an author that we were working with. We completed her book, completed the cover, and then we were saying, okay, now we just have to book the appointment so we can get everything uploaded and printed. And then we just didn't hear back from her. We knew that she had been in and out of the hospital. She was saying, oh, I apologize. I've just had some things come up with my health lately, but I'm excited to upload. And then we kept reaching out to her, and a couple months went by and we didn't hear from her. And then finally, we sent another email and got a reply back from her family saying she has suddenly passed away. And I believe she was in, believe it was like around her 50s, but she did not know. We had big plans for tours and speaking. I'm so thankful. And now we're working with her family to like fulfill some of the wishes that she had. But now she has a wonderful book that she wrote, and we did not know that that was going to happen. And then we also had another author who, within a couple weeks of their book being live on Amazon and us helping them to publish it, they passed away.
You
So,
just never know.
yeah, yeah,
That's why you got to get. I love the work you're doing to help high net worth earners put their journey down because the bottom line is, I mean, heard what you said about an ebook, having that hardcover is such a big deal. But what's nice is because when you mentioned about having that book for generations, I was thinking about all the books that have survived and not survived.
yeah,
It's like there was a book burning, instance at one point in history. There was a movie I watched with what is his name? Anyway, I can't remember his name. It's gonna come to me. He's a very famous actor. He did a movie where it's like something 911 or 911. And it was staged in the future where all of these people are now not able to read books anymore. And I know this is way off topic, but it's kind of it's just where my brain went when you said these books that will survive for generations for people to remember who you are. So in this movie, they had this idea where they need to burn all the books because people have too many ideas, and so therefore they're not able to
cool. I'll watch that.
read books. But so I was thinking that it was like illegal to read books. So I was thinking, and that has happened in history. It's a twist, but it
Yeah,
has happened in history. What's different today is that things are digital because I'm in the process of publishing my book. So not only is it going to have the hardcover, the soft cover, and I'm going to have that, but now we've got a digital footprint all over the place.
yeah,
That
yeah.
legacy, is like irreplaceable. this time right now, being
Yeah.
able to get a book published with
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah. Yes. And I love one thing that I love about this work that merges my two worlds is the skill of the interview. So over the years, being a physician, I've done thousands and thousands of hours of interviewing people. Well, when they come in, we interview them about their life, some of the most intimate details about their life and the things they've been through, what's going on with them physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, everything. And we have to be really good at interviews because some of the being able to listen, be able to direct the conversation, and the things that we elicit can literally be the piece of information we need to use to help go down a path that can help to save their life when people are coming in. So I'm able to transfer those same skills into when I do my interviews with the authors that I work with. We sit on a conversation just like this, whether it's a phone call on a Zoom, and I help them create their I call it a purpose driven outline. And then I just interview them about their life and the lessons. And we're just in a beautiful, rich conversation. And then I'm able to take that and then we convert it into the book. So it's a pretty cool process. And I love being able to use my interviewing skills. We got trained for I was in school over a decade to become the board certified doctor I am in two specialties. So I've done this a long time, and to take those skills and now move it into the world of legacy and book writing, it is just amazing.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. We're gonna pivot into socioeconomics of health. The
Yes.
socioeconomics of health. So you
Yeah.
pivoted into investing and entrepreneurship because you saw economic
Yes.
instability as a root
Yes.
cause of disease in your
Yes.
patients.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
as a physician, why do you believe that economic empowerment is actually a vital form of preventative medicine?
Okay, you're gonna need to invite me for podcast number 2 so we can talk about this the whole time. We need a whole series on this. I can't
I
believe I
know.
gotta answer just one question, but that's okay. That's okay. You need to invite me back as a regular recurring guest to talk about this.
Absolutely. It has happened.
Okay. But because it's just so much to talk about, but it's so
Mhm,
important. Another quick, I'll never forget being in working a shift in labor and delivery, and I get to round with new moms and babies and help to discharge them home. But what if they don't have a home to go to? It's heartbreaking when you have someone who has just given birth to a new life and you're working to help them get a cab voucher to
mhm,
a
mhm,
shelter. And as you just think about that young person's life,
mhm.
what barriers they're gonna have to face, what their parents are going through if they can't get a job or housing. Are they gonna be able to truly do all of the things we ask for them to check on the baby, take the baby to appointments? Don't let the baby actually need some follow-up care for their heart or something else. If the family can't even meet their basic needs, they're stressed out, struggling about where they're gonna live, how they're gonna pay the bills, how they're gonna feed not only themselves, but their children. It's an afterthought to think about all of the medical things we want them to do, the prevention that we want them to do, the working out they need to do to take care of their own health. And that I had time after time seeing those experiences firsthand. Young kids coming into the ICU with near death experiences for asthma attacks, but you know that finances and affording medications and family just so stressed out about other social economic factors, it's an afterthought to be able to fully devote and follow up on what the doctor's saying for their kid. So I had to see that firsthand, and that really inspired me. One of my goals is I want to be giving $1 million in charitable giving per month. I want to be a philanthropist. I'm not there. I'm not to that level yet. I do giving every month, not to that level yet where it's $1 billion every month, but that is where I am headed. And I said, okay, if I'm gonna be giving $1 million in charitable giving, that means that I need to make at least, 10 times that, as far as profit. And so that's what got me started in economic, like starting my own businesses and a search for economic and generational wealth for myself so that I could
Mhm.
bless other people, but also housing. It's the housing crisis is just driving a lot of what we see. So I said, and there's inequities and disparities in uh, people being able to even obtain housing, not only ownership, but even in the rental landscape. So I said, I'm gonna become my own landlord.
That's
And
right.
long story short, that's how I got started with that and some of the other business ventures I do. One other thing with business ventures in our trucking company, we have been able to hire or have worked for us formerly incarcerated people. Now, that is a whole story in and of itself. When someone goes into the criminal justice systems for even crimes of poverty, because of their economic situation, they have to do things that are illegal to get money, go to jail. When they come out, they want to try to start a good life to supply for their kids. Guess what? Nobody hires them. And then it's another cycle that starts. So I said, okay, our trucking company, we're going to give formerly incarcerated people an opportunity to have a fresh start, to drive, to supply for their families. So that is a little bit of why I got started. Like, you know what? I'm going to create my own businesses that can thrive so that we can empower and partner with other people. So I'll stop there. But like, yes, social determinants of health is so important, and it impacts a bigger part of your quality and length of life even than any medicine we could provide or surgery. By the time you're coming in, it's too late. If we can
Mm.
radically transform one's social economic status, that is true prevention. My other board certification as a doctor is in preventive medicine and public health. That's my other specialty.
I absolutely have to have you back on Change and Triumph. There is no doubt we have to do part two if you could find some space in
I
your
will. I'm gonna come back. Yes. I
find
love
some
this topic. I'll talk
you
about this
know
all the
what?
time.
You know what? I'm listening to you and I just saw on social media, I think it was earlier today. Actually my son sent it to the family group. And it was a video that in Louisiana is was just passed that being uh, homeless is now a criminal offense. The first offense is going to be a $500 fine, and then second offense is a felony. So when you talk about, and I think they did that already in Florida last year. I remember that it had come out last year. So, on one hand, being who I am, being self employed, being an entrepreneur, knowing how to make my own way, everyone doesn't have that same thought process. So, on one side of me, I'm thinking, well, we can't have people homeless. And a lot of those people, because I was talking about earlier when my son and we um, decided I hadn't bought single family homes in a long time. And then when we got to Florida, there was an opportunity, at least I thought there was an opportunity to serve the homeless community, which is, everyone knows there's a housing problem. And the housing problem is because if you didn't work a lot in your lifetime and all you have is Social Security coming in now in your older age, you're only getting $900 to $1,200 a month. And so that's all you have to move into a place. So we saw that there was going to be an opportunity to serve the community by offering like 2 beds per room and buying 4-bedroom houses. So we were buying 4-bedroom houses, 2 beds per room. From the financial side, charging $760 per bed. So from the financial side, there's profit. And from the community side, we're serving the community. So we can cover the mortgage, make a profit, pay our investors, and we're serving the community. That's a win, 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 win. No, that is not what happened. What I experienced and saw was that we couldn't fill up the houses. I mean, we literally passed out flyers at Salvation Army. We were down there at Salvation Army at this other place called there was a few places. We had the churches involved. We had so many, and we would have to call them and beg them for the people to come because people didn't want to share a room. So they didn't want to share a room, then if they only got $900 a month, they weren't trying to spend $760 on a bed. and they weren't trying, or 1,200, they weren't going to spend that much. So then we lowered it to $500 per bed. We're still skimming by, but we can cover the mortgage. We could still make a little profit, and we're serving the community at $500 a bed. And I was shocked to find that people would rather be on the streets than do that.
Yeah.
And I experienced it firsthand. So on one hand, I understand we can't have people on the streets, and they do not want to go in the shelters. They don't want to go in the shelters because it's dangerous. And then we offered a solution, and the solution was not good enough. So this is okay. You try to help, and then you wonder, like, but then you see this other point of view that you're bringing up. Okay, now this is a health problem. This is also a problem with people not being able to get a job. I thought it's just such a major issue. And I realized, there's always been gypsies. So I learned that there are people that just want to be free. There's this one artist that I've known since I moved to Orlando. And every time I see him, I buy something from him. And he enjoys not having a home. He had stayed at one of my places. I says, sometimes he stays in a bridge, sometimes he's in an Airbnb. And this kid is like very normal. Like when you see him, he is very normal. Like I don't understand. Like, okay, he sells his art pieces. He's like a starving artist, but then he's got stuff on, like, what do you call that? NFTs. He's doing he's got stuff in galleries, and then he'll just leave Orlando, and then he'll be in LA, or he'll be in San Diego, and I've met people over my life that just enjoy that lifestyle. So I think for the government to get involved, it's not right. It's not right for the government to get involved and ruin someone's ability to get work, like what you just said,
Yeah.
by giving them a felony and making it a police state. So that's not right. And then you've got the other side to say, well, why are you like on the park? Like it feels dangerous. I want to jog here. What do you think?
Yeah, it's order to tackle big complex problems, we need to think outside of the box, and there needs to be people from all sectors playing a role. So there is a role for laws and police to step in to help in this situation, but that's not the only solution. We need to think of it, we need to have our business community at the table. Okay. So when these individuals who are going to get a felony, if they remain unhoused, when they come to you to get jobs, are you going to automatically reject them? How are we going to work together for this? We need to also be talking to the housing community, and landlords and property owners. Real estate investing association need to be at the table. When these individuals come to you and they don't have a rental history, are you going to automatically reject them? Or can you be, because we're working on this, we need to talk to healthcare systems to come in, public health systems, mental health. A lot of individuals who are unhoused think about the trauma that they've experienced, PTSD, depression, anxiety. How does that impact their desire to get up, to want to go to work, to want to be an entrepreneur? Therapy centers, when we bring these people to you to get mental health supports, are you going to reject them because they don't have insurance?
Mm,
Insurance agencies, why aren't you giving insurance to these people? Oh, because they don't have a job that gives insurance. It's like a cycle. So
mm.
I believe that there is a role for law and police and different mandates. However, it needs to be everybody coming together to think about it holistically. So that's my viewpoints on that.
Thank you, Dr. Zapata. So, the triple P book writing method is Dr. Zapata's framework is designed specifically for the high level busy professional who has a story but zero time to write it. And so, I want to give some takeaways to our audience, and that is the 90-minute asset. That's one of your offerings. You don't need to write for years. A focused 90-minute strategic interview can be the
Yes.
foundation of a legacy book. And we talked about that earlier. So you want to book that 90-minute asset call with Dr. Zapata. And Founder stories build trust. In the world of family offices and raising capital, people invest in the hero story of the founder.
Yes.
So, not just the balance sheet. And you know what, Dr. Zapata, I think I need to do my personal story with you because I have a book that's being published, but that by income strategy is specific to like our earlier conversation about my journey in building wealth. However, and what passive income is. However, the personal story, I've started writing it and I could definitely use some help.
Yes, let's definitely
So,
definitely
yes.
talk about we can work on it offline, or we could talk about doing it live on one of the podcasts for us to create the outline together and do the interview. I'm on I'm the co-host of a radio segment, and one of the main ladies who leads the radio show, I did a series of interviews with her on the radio show, and each time we did a chapter. Each segment was only about a 10 to 20-minute segment, so we did it over time, but at a 90-minute segment, we could do it or break it up. That was so fun. It's actually
Listen.
called, if you search it up, Madtown Mom Squad. Yeah,
Okay.
and Krista had it was so cool to go through hers, like, live on our it's on iHeartRadio.
We are doing that.
Yeah, and so writing is super fun, and then our team works to help you publish it to after. And we truly believe in self-publishing, talk about
Mm,
economic empowerment. Traditional publishing, the way like people are used to decades ago, is where you go through a traditional publishing company and they basically own the book. And then it's your story and you get little royalty checks when the copies is sold. If it's my story, if I went through pain, devastation, and had to learn those hard lessons, I need to own 100% of my story. So
for
we
sure.
empower the clients that we work with to publish the book under their own brand and company so that when they publish it, they own all the rights and royalties to it to pass that on to generations. So I love getting into that, and we work with our clients to at the end of the process they get to own all rights and royalties to the book, and which is so cool.
Well, Dr. Jasmine Zapata, I am so honored to have met you at the Family Office Club this past December.
Yeah.
All of your links is going to be in the show notes. Listeners, please check the show notes so you can book your 90-minute call. And this is just going to be fun. And look out for that series that it sounds like we're about to do, because that's just going to be fun, where you'll get to experience exactly how that 90-minute call goes over a few podcasts. So let's get that done.
Yes. All right. Thank you for all that you do. I just have to say quickly, I appreciate you. I honor you. Thank you for all the things that you've built over the years, all the businesses, all the people you've empowered, and just sharing your story about how you incorporated your family and children into the work is so inspiring. And I'm like, oh my gosh, goals. I want to do that too. So
You're
I
gonna
just want
do
to let you know that such a blessing and an inspiration. Just your existence alone and all that you've done. It is a great, you're a great beacon of light for younger generations following behind you. So thank you so much for all that you're building.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry, Jasmine. It hasn't been done on like on purpose. All
But
right.
you're
Well,
still
thank you
standing and
so
you're still
much.
here.
Yes,
Yeah,
still
you're still
here.
here.
Still
Yeah.
here, still getting it done, still persevering, and bringing the light to all of our audience. The people before us did the same thing. So this is our journey on what we have to do from our generation is share our experiences with the next generation so they can be further ahead. So some of these socioeconomic issues that we have, especially specifically in, certain cultures will become less and less of a thing.
Yes.